So I woke up and saw this, and I was like, okay, it looks like Studio Wildcard, Snail Games, all that good stuff. The people who make Ark Survival Evolved have actually listened to community feedback, also known as backlash, and decided to, make everything better. Because essentially what they've done is, of course, they made Ark Survival Evolved an early access game, which then they released DLC for while it was still early access, which, of course, I think is completely unreasonable. The game was originally like $30, and then when the game was, officially done, even though it's still kind of broken in some ways and still has some problems, raised it to like $60, and then had DLC that you bought on extra. They had a season pass, and then they released Atlas, which we then later found out was essentially just a conversion mod for Ark, but they build it as a totally new game to allegedly be able to get past selling it as a DLC and letting people get it for the season pass and actually getting a full box price for it instead. Then, of course, they announced they're developing Ark 2. Good news, right? Ark is one of the most popular games on Steam. People love it. Ark 2 is probably going to do super well. And they announced that, because it's going to take a while, what we're going to do is take Ark Survival Evolved and all the DLCs, and we're going to remaster it. We're going to do it in Unreal Engine 5, and it's going to be way better, and it's going to be free. I'm not going to go and find the quote again. I'm not going to pull it up on screen or whatever, but you can watch my last video on this if you want to see the receipts. But then they announced, no, actually, it's not going to be free. It's going to release, and it's going to be $50, and we're delaying Ark 2 that was supposed to release by the end of 2023 to the end of 2024, so over a year's delay. But don't worry, we're going to release Ark Survival Evolved Remastered, and it's going to cost $50, but you get Ark 2 with it. And of course, that's a problem because you're essentially saying this thing that was going to be free, we're now charging you $50, but you're getting bundled in a game that you don't even know if it's going to be good, if you want to buy it. You could like Ark and not want to play Ark 2 because you don't really know that much about it. It's just common sense. But at least then you were getting, 2 games for the price of 1. Obviously still problematic, and they still said that they were going to sell the remastered DLCs back to you again, some of which only came out about 2 years ago for Ark. And obviously people were saying in my comment section, companies have to be paid for their work and blah, blah, blah. You don't get everything for free. A complete straw man, of course, because I never said you should get everything for free. I'm a firm believer in paying for games and experiences and things that I use. But the problem is when a company says, this is going to be free, and then it's not, obviously bringing up why are you charging it, why are you bundling it with a game that we don't even know what it's going to be like in totality and isn't going to be out for a real long time, that obviously then devoids our ability to get a refund. That's bad. There's no world in which you can explain that to me that makes sense as a consumer from a consumer perspective, because you're just wrong at that point. If you like that, you're essentially saying, I just like the company and I like to give money for things I don't even fucking know about yet. Which is not an opinion, that's just stupidity. So when I saw that, they'd gone back on this and they'd done something good, I was like, all right, cool, they've listened to feedback, that's amazing. And then I read what they'd done, and I'm just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This has got to be some kind of joke. Like, the people making this decision have got to have been like, yeah, fuck these consumers that have, talked about this. Let's do it worse. So previously, the $50 bundle was going to get you Ark Survival Evolved Remastered, which was going to be free. That's a point we constantly need to bring up. And Ark 2. But you could pay $90 and you'd get Ark 2, Ark Survival Evolved Remastered, and all the DLCs that will release in the future, which, of course, you probably already bought if you play Ark, which means that you're buying the same game, the same DLCs again, and they're just basically milking you for content that you already purchased. But don't worry, it is a remaster, so there is the precedent that has been set that companies can charge for remastered products. They usually don't just say it's free though and then go back on it. But now what they've done is they've said, actually, it wasn't a good idea. I'll read you the quote. First things first, we're scrapping the Ark Respawn bundle. Our intention behind this was to provide a package where you essentially get 2 products for the price of 1. In hindsight, not the best move. Our bad. We recognised how combining Ark Survival Ascended with Ark 2 and required further DLC upgrades wasn't optimal, especially since you wouldn't be able to judge Ark 2 as no gameplay or content would be available yet. Here's our new plans. We're releasing Ark Survival Ascended as a standalone package on every platform: PC, Windows, Steam, Xbox Series S and X, and PlayStation 5 at the following price of $60, and it will include The following pieces of content built in, not sold separately, with each remastered and altered for the next generation. And then it obviously goes over the DLCs you'll get. So bear in mind, you bought Ark, you bought the DLCs, you play it, you currently enjoy it. They said it's going to release for free with a remaster, but now they're saying it's $60, you don't get the new game, but don't worry, you do get the DLCs you probably already purchased. And then I looked at the thread in the Ark Survival Evolved Reddit, and the title was "Let's Go," as if this is a good thing. And I was like, I don't understand how this is good. I don't know how people are spinning this as being a good thing. I know fandoms in general, people will apologize and accept things because they like something. And I agree with this top comment. This will definitely cost us more in the long run, as I'm sure Ark 2 will be $60 or more. But this is certainly a more fair way to go about this. Having to buy the DLC again was the part that felt wrong. If they didn't ever say that this would be free, I would have agreed with this 100%. And this is definitely the fairer way to do it, because now you're not basically buying into a bundle that has its price artificially inflated to sell pre-sales on a game that you've never seen, that you can never refund. Because obviously part of the problem with developing games in the first place is the upfront cost of getting it to the point where you can release it. And then, of course, worrying about if it releases, it's not amazing, people are going to refund and we're going to essentially get tanked on that investment we've already put in until we can hopefully recuperate by getting the game to a complete state. So selling their millions and millions of fans who already play Ark on a package that is for a game that they can later then not refund if they deliver it in a bad state, which, judging from what they've done with Ark throughout the lifetime of the game and what other games Snail Games have released, such as, of course, Last Oasis, which was released in a fucking awful state, we know that they're more than willing to release games that are broken. So they're essentially securing funding up front to be able to release in whatever state that they want. So that's always going to be bad. But now, as people are rightfully pointing out, instead of paying $90 for everything, or $50 for the base plus Ark 2 and then paying the DLCs on top again, you're now probably going to have to pay minimum $120. So they've just upped the price for everything. And people are now saying, I think the whole point is that the DLCs are free now. But they're not. But this is ignoring the fact that it's not free. If you just change the pricing to be more money and build the DLCs into the pricing, that's not free. That's just making it more expensive. Because even if you plan to play Ark 2 and not rebuy the DLCs, now the package sells you the DLCs built in. So it's yet again removing one of your choices so that you spend more money and in the long run spend more money. And as this comment points out, this is what the Ark community was wanting, right? They were complaining they have to pay for the DLCs and bundle with a game they've never seen. Now they can wait for content of the game to become available before making the decision to spend any money on it. And the ASA now doesn't have separate bundles. But it's more expensive and you're still paying for content that doesn't exist yet. You're paying for the game. You're paying for Ark Survival Ascended, which is the remastered version of Ark Survival Evolved, which you already bought, and the DLCs, which you probably already bought. But all you're getting when Ark Survival Ascended launches is the base game, and then the DLCs come later. So you are literally still paying for things you don't have and you can't physically see or interact with in any way. And then, of course, he points out, or were they wanting a remaster of a game with years of added content to be free? I mean, usually if somebody says to me, this product's going to be free, and then I'm like, okay, cool. And then it turns out that it's not. What I did want is what they told me it was going to be originally, of course. That is how expectations work. So this is a breakdown of it. The previous bundle was Ark 2, $50, Ark 1 Remaster 0, DLC $40 optional, total $90 if you want all the DLC, or $50 if you just want Ark and Ark 2. New deal, Ark 2, $60 to $80, barring whatever the pricing standard is next year, which is leaning towards $70. Because obviously they're not going to release the new version of the game for $30 like they did Ark originally in early access, even though it might release in early access, we don't know. Ark Remaster $60, DLC 0, so total $120 to $140, and you're now required to buy both games and the DLC even if you weren't interested in it. I'm not seeing a win here. And while this comment does have good information, it says way to go community, which I'm just going to say, the community doesn't make these decisions. The community never said this will be free. The community never said this is going to be the pricing and you're going to have to buy the bundle with the second game in it. The community never said, we want you to actually up the prices and bundle in the DLC and make us pay more for this thing you said we were going to be free. The community just rightfully reacted to what happened, and then the company has made yet another bad choice. But I'm not super surprised because obviously consumers do this. Let's shift the blame from corporate that are making these decisions onto the community and blame each other instead of blaming who's actually responsible for this. Let's not hold them accountable. Fuck it. Let's hold each other accountable for just wanting better consumer practices. But I guess it's just par for the course with Snail Games. They just do this consistently, and what the fuck were you expecting? Hopefully there's backlash about this again, and I guarantee there's going to be people in the comments saying, oh, you just want things for free. I'll probably buy Ark 2 if it's any good, and I've no problem paying for games. I've always paid for games. I bought Ark, and I didn't refund it even though when the game released, it was a fucking mess. I always pay for my games, and I have no problem paying for things that are worth it, but that doesn't mean I can't speak out about things that are completely anti-consumer. Like selling packages for things before they fucking exist, like they're doing now with the DLC, and people are going to argue like, oh, the DLC already exists, you're just getting it again. Yeah, when? When is that? When am I getting that? Why am I buying something that promises me content in the future? And of course, this already exists as a accepted practice. We're like, oh, buy the digital deluxe, and it comes with the season pass that releases content over time. I don't buy those, and I don't like those either. So I'm being consistent with this one. I just think this is bad, especially when they originally said it was going to be free. I don't think it having a box price is the biggest deal in the world, as long as they didn't set that precedent by saying it wasn't going to. But there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments, and see you next time. Peace out.